According to police, Tiffanie Lucas shot her 2 young children inside their Bentwood Drive home Wednesday morning. WLKY News Chopper was there as the siblings were rushed to Norton Children's in downtown Louisville, 30 minutes away. That's where the kids, ages 6 and 9 years old, died in surgery. We're told a neighbor found the siblings shot around 11 Wednesday morning after noticing something wasn't quite right at the house. According to court records, the children were found shot in a bedroom with the gun still on the bed. Let's talk about Tiffanie Lucas. She appeared from this jail via video conference for her first court appearance. She showed no emotion, said absolutely nothing, and pretty much the entire time stood with her arms folded across her chest. Now, ultimately, as you said, the judge set the bond at $2 million.
We just played a card game. That was it. Simple as that. And then we had the best time ever.
And then, just a few days later, Darrell Howard got the news his little brothers were dead. A neighbor found the boys shot in a bed inside their home on Bentwood Drive in Shepherdsville Wednesday morning. Police took the boys' mother, Tiffanie Lucas, into custody at the scene, later charging her with murder.
We wanted them. We would have took them open arms. We loved them so much.
Howard claims over the years multiple family members had called CPS with concerns. He and 9-year-old Jayden shared the same father who died in 2019. Howard says that's when he became more involved in his brother's life and the life of Jayden's little brother, 6-year-old Maurice, known as Peanut. And while the past few weeks were good ones, filled with trick-or-treating events, visits with their grandmother, and backyard water balloon fights, there are regrets.
Because I should have did more. I should have, if it came to me coming to snatch the boys out the house, I should have did that. And I will hold that on my back for the rest of my life, for both of them boys.
On Thursday, Lucas faced a judge who set her bond at $2 million. Family says it's not nearly high enough. When asked what he would say to Lucas, Howard had this to say.
You scarred everybody with this one. You scored everybody with this one.
He says now his only comfort is knowing the little boys who wanted to play football like their big brother are not alone.
I just know Jayden and Peanut, I know they together. And I know our father probably waiting on them. Waiting on both of them.
Tiffanie Lucas is her name. That's her right there. Look at her. Charged with 2 counts of murder, appeared in a Kentucky courtroom Tuesday. She's accused of murdering her 6 and 9-year-old sons, those beautiful boys. Police say she shot them both in the head. How disgusting is that? Those 2 boys were found by a neighbor. They were covered in blood in the home that they shared with their mother, the person who was supposed to be protecting them. Those little slain siblings were rushed to a nearby children's hospital and sadly did not survive their injuries. And Lucas's Facebook page portrays her as a loving mother who just coordinated Star Wars-themed Halloween costumes for her and her boys. Look at this. There's a picture of them recently. As more details are coming out of her past, we're learning about a drug possession conviction.
Y'all having a good time?
In the bedroom there, covered in blood, and a gun in the bed. Whether you think it's mental illness, just pure evil, combination of both, whether it could be substance abuse, any combination thereof, pick your poison, none of it's good. The result is horrific.
Talked about questioning Lucas after that.
I asked Miss Lucas if she meant to hurt her children. She indicated that it was an accident. She also made some comments such as, quote, "I'm in such a bad spot."
Tiffanie Lucas's arrest back on November 8th, 2023, because that is when police responded to a shooting call in this quiet residential area in Kentucky's Bullitt County. A neighbor told police that he pulls into his driveway, and what does he see? Tiffanie Lucas walking down the steps of the porch, telling him that her kids were dying before she collapses in his driveway. So this neighbor runs into her home, attempts to save the boys, sees this horrific scene, calls 911. The children are rushed to a hospital, but they die. Body cam footage revealed Lucas in this kind of state of distress, crying face down in the driveway. An officer can be heard trying to ask her questions, but she remains largely silent, only occasionally murmuring or sobbing. Later on in the footage, Lucas was transported to the sheriff's office for questioning, where she told investigators that she had apparently shot herself in the ear, but there were no visible wounds that were ever found.
Still into that part of the investigation. We'll still be hammering that out, but there were statements evidently that were made there on scene. To our recollection right now, the individual that is responsible basically went next door to a neighbor's house. There was a husband and a wife there. She was actually in their driveway, laying down in their driveway when they came across her.
Is she okay? Where's the kids? Okay. She's a ball. I have to pay her. $120. I got one female at the tank. No. Are you injured? Huh? No, are you injured? What you got injured? What you got going on? Nothing. I think she's kids. She's good. Don't do the kids. She's good. She got nothing on. I'll check it out. I'll get up for something comes up.
Nearly a year to the day, Tiffanie Lucas murdered her two sons. The 33-year-old pleaded guilty in October to 2 capital murder charges. Of Maurice, 6, and Jayden, 9, gave tearful and enraged testimony at the sentencing hearing.
You took him from me, and I hurt every day. Every second of the day, I hurt.
They called Lucas selfish, evil, and a monster for shooting and killing the very children she was supposed to love and protect.
I often see these court shows where the defendants are forgiven by the victim's family, but not today, not by me. I will never forgive you.
The defense, while not excusing Lucas's brutal behavior, for the first time in court showed surveillance video of her mental state and hallucinations from drugs just one day before the murders. She's heard telling a neighbor, "I need you. God is talking to me. I need help." Another video from inside a Waffle House shows Lucas and the boys in one of their final moments. A server says Lucas looked like she was in her own world and couldn't comprehend what was going on.
The only peace I have in this is knowing that you can't hurt them anymore.
This is a question of violations of the laws of this Commonwealth, particularly statutory murder, which provides for a violation when someone with the intent to cause the death of another person causes the death of that person. Ms. Lucas, to her credit, has come before the court and has admitted to her conduct. She has entered a plea of guilty to 2 counts of murder. That involves the intentional taking of a life. Now, the court has considered mitigating conditions and aggravating circumstances as argued by the parties. The court will note that the defendant's act of killing were intentional and resulted in multiple deaths, in particular 2 children under 12 years of age. The law of this Commonwealth is clear. The statutory penalty for each of these counts is 20 to 50 years or life imprisonment. Mr. Donnelly has testified as to parole eligibility. Now, what I will say is this. Kentucky's method of incarceration for felony offenses is what's referred to as indeterminate sentencing. It can be somewhat difficult to follow if you don't deal with it every day. But ultimately, the court has to assume that the components of the judicial system, which includes the executive branch's parole board, will be followed to the law. So the duties and responsibilities of that board and what they do are to be determined by that board. This court has to assume they will do what is just and appropriate. What I have struggled with through this hearing today is a mother is more than the giving of life. It is providing food, clothing, shelter, but more importantly, love and security. I cannot imagine the sheer horror these children must have experienced seeing their mother with a gun. The sheer horror that second child had as he heard the discharge of that weapon for the first child. And maybe even both of them seeing their mother pull the trigger, taking their life. At this time, the court will state for the record, the court has considered the probation pre-sentence report, arguments of counsel, the contents of the file, and no sufficient reason having been shown why judgment not be pronounced and sentence imposed. In case number 23 CR 404, Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Tiffanie Lucas, as to count 1, the court will adjudge the defendant guilty of the offense of murder and fix her sentence at life in prison. On count 2, the court will adjudge the defendant guilty of the offense of murder and fix her sentence at life in prison. This time, the court will order that the Sheriff's Department deliver the defendant to the custody of the Corrections Cabinet for service of her sentence of imprisonment. That's all for today. Court will be adjourned.